First of all, I just really want to formally welcome all of you. Like, this has been kind of a dream in the making. We've been talking about this for the last many, many months, and it's hard to get all of our calendars aligned, but so fun to be here today and just feel so honored to be able to share the stage with these two incredible leaders and beautiful friends. And it's really been so spectacular getting to know you both. And Deborah, you've been in my living room many times at my retreats and participating in the work that we do, and have been able to see it up close and personal. And I can't tell you how many times I'm talking to Denise, and I think I'm talking to Deborah. I'm talking to Deborah, and I think I'm talking to Denise. So
Story of our life.
You can't wear a baseball hat again, Denise. That messed me up.
Listen, you're not the only one. I just say yes to either name. That's, it's part of it. So
right. Just a couple of quick things before we get started. So I just want to do a couple of housekeeping things here. First of all, for all of you that are registered, this will be coming out as a replay. You will get the email link with the replay, so you'll be able to go back and listen to this again or share it with your friends in the industry for sure. We are also putting together a training guide after this training. It's going to take us probably a couple of days to get it out to you, but we are building a training guide from the content. So yes, we want you to take notes. We want you to pay close attention, but you will be given a follow-up training guide that we've got people on this call on our team that are capturing the notes real time, so we can get you something tangible to actually be able to have to refer back to after this training, because we've got some pretty powerful strategies to share with you today. And again, I just want to remind you, we're going to use our Q&A primarily for questions. So we're going to ask you to just really focus on if I have a question, because otherwise with the number of people we have joining this call, it's going to be kind of tough for Dana to manage the chat. So we just would love to have the Q&A or the chat feature set up just for our questions, because we want to be able to get to as many of those as possible. So I started thinking about what brought this webinar about is I thought I was really looking at 2022 and the pain that my coaching clients had gone through last year. And it was really tough to support people going through when you take $200 million a year originators that are, their business is down 50%, some of them 70%. And then you talk to the newer originators that, aren't even generating business. It was a very tough year, and it was not for the faint of heart. But I also saw something that really concerned me. And because of the stress and the constraints around the market, and there was so much negative talk in people's head, that the number one thing that stood in the way of people from being successful and not successful was the thoughts right between our brain. It was our mindset. And I really saw the wheels fall off many, many originators across the US. So that really concerned me. And I thought the number one thing we have to work on is how do we get this right so we don't listen to the noise, because I still had clients doing incredible business that were, that were incredibly focused on the right daily activities, and they weren't caught up in the story of there's not enough business to go around. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but this whole concept came around to what are the pillars that make a super successful business. And one of the top pillars, which is why Denise is the master of this, is systems and processes. How do you build the systems to run a business so that you can actually scale? You can run a great small business, but I can speak to it personally. You can't really scale unless you start to develop systems and processes, right? And then number two, you've got to have visibility. You've got to get your message out to the world. Deborah Byrd has been amazing at helping me do that and helping me get my message out through social and get me on a program to actually be able to show up for myself. And it's an art form. And candidly, for me, it's not what I do every day. I mean, I do enough to be dangerous, but I needed an expert, and I believe that we got to write the check, right, Deborah? That's our,
Yes.
Stacia's on here. That's her favorite line, write the check. And then you need to have the plan. And that's where I come in. And I really thought we got to reinvent our mortgage business this year. We've got to get back to basics. We've got to get back in front of people. We've got to shut out the noise. We've got to get very focused on our daily activities to be able to drive production. Because I don't know about you, but I've been in this business a very long time. I'm very intuitive about the real estate market. And I have to tell you, I'm very encouraged about 2023 and already what I'm seeing with my clients. So with no further ado, I am going to introduce our first amazing guest. So Denise has served over 600 families in 2022. And Denise, that's probably one of the most remarkable things on the planet, just because we know what a difficult year it was. And so to be able to serve that many families, obviously you have a system that is extremely different and efficient and has created this "they must work with you" process, right? So super amazing. Denise's power statement is how to help 700 families a year and maintain a balanced life. Because I happen to know you're a wife and a mom and all those things that go with a very big life, as I had as well. So we all know the fortune is in the follow-up, says Denise, but how we build it is with intention and thoughtful follow-up systems. I will put up my Excel spreadsheet that shows how to do this from scratch. This will take some time to go through with you all, so pay close attention. You do not want to be multitasking on this call. Then we're going to go in, she's going to go into a different form of communication to the referrer, to the clients, and to the team. Lastly, she's going to explain the post-closing follow-up process. And your level of communication and follow-up is just profound. And it's what got me so intrigued the first time I heard you speak. I was just like, very seldom, Denise, am I left with my, mouth open gasping, but it was pretty amazing. So Denise started in the business, got licensed in 2012, you all. That's like 10 years ago. Pretty unbelievable what you have created in short order. In 2021, her production was 220 million. She served 722 families. Again, last year, she served 604 families for 202 million in one of the toughest markets in mortgage history. Denise is known in the Mortgage Nerd as one of the nation's top 1% producing professionals. Her unique financial approach has to do in part to her upbringing with her finance background. As an early teen, Denise began working to help put food on the table and to keep the mortgage paid for her family. This taught her the value of a dollar very early in life. Also, as a Texas A&M business economics graduate, she began her career in the financial banking industry in 2002 as a licensed financial banker. Series 6 and 63 licenses. She was responsible for the development of custom financial plans in line with client short-term goals, as well as assisting in their long-term retirement planning. Through her financial consulting, she found her generally a person's home is not only the largest asset, but also the most expensive one. This intrigued her and inspired her to learn the mortgage lending business to ultimately help advise her clients how to align the right home to match their financial goals. And I have to say, I love this. Denise's number one thing, the most important thing to me, is educating the clients on all the home loan options and explaining the pros and cons of each. If a client's goal is to retire without a mortgage, I feel it's my responsibility to customize a plan today that can help them obtain this for their long-term goals. Helping a client learn to manage their finances is a ripple effect that they can teach their own kids how to do that. Now that gives me goosebumps. So with that, my friend, let's turn it over to Denise.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody on this call. You guys are investing your time in Dallas. It's a rainy, cold Tuesday. So I just appreciate it. Number one, people always ask me, Denise, where should I invest my money? And I always say the best investment that you can make is in yourself. And that's exactly what you guys are doing today. So I'm going to bring you guys the heat. Like Cindy said, I helped 600 families, 604 last year, which was more than 100 less than the year before. So that is painful for me. I know that the numbers are good, but I just want to expose the fact that my numbers were down as well. We're all in this together. And I truly feel like 2023, no matter how long you've been in the business, is really a time that everybody is starting out day one together on the same playing field. Because none of us have experienced this kind of market. None of us saw interest rates as low as we did in 20 and 21. None of us saw home prices jump as much as they did. And then we had a market where the interest rates spiked. And so how do you rebuttal? How do you handle that? Is now even still a good time to buy? We're kind of all on that same playing field. So the first thing that I want to do, like she mentioned, is, to me, redefining and analyzing your systems is one of the biggest game changers that you can make, no matter what stage you are in your business, whether you're in the first year of your business and maybe you're in the 20th year. When I sat down and said, okay, I love this business, but in my first year or two, I was working 24/7. I was working long nights. I would get up in the morning because in your first couple of years, you're wearing all the hats. Like you are the person pre-qualifying, you're running DU, you're putting together credit plans, you're answering the phone. Oh, but now you have to find time in your day to call real estate agents and see if they can meet you for coffee. And the reality is that until you free up enough time for yourself, you're doing all of those things. So I would describe my first 2 or 3 years in the business as just winging it, pure chaos, reactive. And so if you feel that way, that's how I felt. And the pain got great enough that I said, okay, how do I stop the madness? And so the first thing I did was I said, I need to have a communication strategy. Like not just, I need to have good communication. I need to sit back and ask myself, what does good communication look like? Because every real estate agent that I would meet with, I would ask them, what are some things that you like about your current lender and what are some things that you would change? And even today, guys, we hear from them communication. Like, I don't know how in 2023, us as a lending industry, realtors are still saying that our communication stinks, but the reality is our communication still stinks. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys because this is what I love about Cindy is she is all about tactical. This isn't one of those webinars that you're going to walk away from and you feel motivated, but you don't have a game plan to actually tactfully put it into motion. That's what we're going to do for you. So tune in, take notes. I'm going to share my screen. The first thing that I did, it's not anything super fancy, but I put together this Excel spreadsheet. And you can see here at the bottom, I've got tabs. And what I wanted to do was specifically articulate at each stage of the communication process, how I wanted to communicate, how often, what method. And I found that when you write it out, I don't care if it's on a Word document, I don't care if you get a chalkboard, like you do your thing. Mine was Excel. And what I did is, you can see here at the bottom, I have tabs like active leads, warm leads, internet leads, long-term drip. I send this one out, so this wasn't my exact one. Parking lots, pre-qualified, pre-approved, executed contract, funded, how I wanted that to look, employee connection, some communication I want to do for even my team. So let me back up and explain how I attacked each little category. The first thing that I did is I wrote out the template name. This is really what I would call the subject line, because as you're putting the skeleton together, you can take this skeleton and put it into any CRM you want. There, I said it, the 3-letter acronym CRM. Everyone's going to ask me, what's the best CRM? Which one do you use? There's no magic bullet. The one that I use today, I literally hand wrote every single email, text message, video, all that. So I'd be happy to share that with you. It doesn't really matter which system if you don't build it out. And some of you guys might hate that, but there's no business, no mortgage business that runs the exact same. I don't care if someone sells you, there's a magic bullet CRM. It's not there. So what I did is I wrote out, what do I want the subject line? Do I want this format to be an email? Do I want it to be a text message? Do I want it to be a voice call, voice drop? When do I want it to go out? So that's the interval. I'm this anal that I want to specify what time do I want it to go out. If you've ever gotten a happy birthday email from like a realtor at 2 a.m., you're like, oh, cool. You just put me into your system. Super not thoughtful. So I am like so anal that I'm like, no, I want this happy birthday to be like 8:07. So it looks like I actually sent the email, because you guys will learn I'm super intentional. I don't want to come across like a robot. I just want to leverage technology to make me stay connected even more. What action item is this targeting? Is it to the client, co-borrower and borrower? Is it copying the real estate agent or the referrer? Is it to the title company? Is it to a team member? So people forget that you can leverage a follow-up system, not just for clients, but for team members. So if you're at the stage in your career where maybe you have someone to help you on the phones, you can say, okay, they haven't applied and it's been 3 days. Hey, admin, I want you to make this call. If not, guess what? You are the admin, so you're making that call and you can still set yourself up as the reminder. Do I want a marketing piece attached? Marketing piece just might mean a flyer, a postcard. Do I have a video link embedded in it? Full disclosure, I made this, I think, in 2015. So there wasn't text messaging in CRMs at that point, and I wasn't using video like I am today in it. And so as things change, my CRM changed because I had to take back some emails and sprinkle in some text messages because technology changed. And that's just something we're going to have to embrace. If we're not changing, then we're going to fall behind. But start here. So I'm going to give you an example. Let me go to my pre-qualified. Now, again, this is 2015 because I've made edits in my actual CRM, but you have to get the mindset and the framework down first. I promise you it'll help you. So I sent a text message out as soon as I sent a pre-qual out. You're manually sending out the pre-qual saying, congrats client, you're pre-qualified. I wanted a text message to go out to the client. Then one day later, I had a email go out to the client that says one more thing. I know that that email is one more thing. Here's how I can shop to find you the best rates. Then I had a pre-qual versus pre-approval email go out 7 days later because this is a pre-qual campaign. So I'm trying to push them to get pre-approved. 10 days, 14 days, 20 days, 30 days. Then it slows down a little bit to 45 days. And it goes out until like 10 years and they sit in this pre-qualified. Let me show you another one. Here's someone that's an active lead. And Cindy, we're emailing this recording out to everybody registered, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So you can see here, if a realtor sends us an e-introduction saying, hey, this is a client they're looking to buy, we would put them in our system as a lead or prospect, or call it whatever you want. I know there's like such a debate between lead or prospect, whatever you call it that. And the follow-up is a little bit more aggressive. We're pushing them to that online application. And you can see that we're reaching out to the client, to the partner, and to the LO or the LOA to reach out for a follow-up call. And it specifies the time. And what I found is that by doing this for each stage, and then I narrowed down on, okay, what CRM do I want to commit to? I started just crafting it out for each stage. And when you do this and you actually go through the process of it, you become a really powerful partner to your real estate agent, not just because your communication is going to be top notch, because when you have a system like this, it creates consistency. And that's the hardest part in our business is we can be consistent when the business is slow, but when we get busy, we fall off a little bit. And it's funny because I use the analogy, I'm a Chick-fil-A girl. I love Chick-fil-A. And they have mastered that even if it's 12 p.m. on a Saturday and the line is wrapped around the building, they still deliver quality food with fast service. And they're consistent. It doesn't matter which Chick-fil-A you go to, if you're in Dallas or if you're in California or if you're in Utah, they all taste the same and their employees are trained the same. They sound the same. We all know that they say, my pleasure. So they've got it figured out. They're mastering quality and speed. You can have both, but that consistency is what teaches your realtors like, okay, I know she received the app. I know she received the lead because I got a text message that says, hey, thank you so much, Rebecca. We have entered your client into our follow-up system. We will be in touch with you as soon as we connect. And like clockwork, if they get that text message, they know it's not going on a sticky note. And then we all know what happens to Post-it notes. I know some of you guys still use Post-it notes, but you're creating consistency and you're creating the habit of this and the how-to of this. One of the biggest weaknesses that real estate agents have today is they don't know how to do this themselves. So once you go through the motions of it, you will be able to teach them. And if you can teach a realtor how to increase their business, you become very valuable. It doesn't matter what your rates are as much. It doesn't matter what your closing costs are as much, because they need you. They know that you're helping them increase their business. So this is number one when it comes to systems. You have to identify the manufacturing of your mortgage loan, and you have to identify job roles. If you're starting out, it's just you. If you're a team, you need to be very specific on who is doing what. Needs to be written out. The team needs awareness because the left hand has to be talking to the right. So that's first and foremost. The next thing I wanted to talk about is a lot of you, when you registered, some of the feedback that you wrote in was how to, what I read from it was how to attract business and not chase. Coming off of a year where 2022 was hard because the market changed, the interest rates changed, inventory is crazy. But what a lot of people weren't paying attention to is something I've been studying for the past 12 months, and it's the generational change that took place. The way that home buyers, these millennials, Gen Ys, Gen Zs, the way that they shop is totally different. And what I found is that some of my top producing real estate agents, the average age of a realtor is 54 years old. They struggle with social media. They struggle with the psychology of it. They've been able to rely on the data, their strong database of clients for repeat clients. But as the internet has been exploding and the social media world has been exploding faster than they can keep up with, they're struggling. And so what's happening is not a lot of mortgage people are paying attention to this, but there are coaches out there that are like, all you need is 10 real estate agents and you can help as many families as you want. Y'all, if you looked at my realtor roster last year, I had 7 realtors, 600 families. These are all mine. I'm the only originator. 7 real estate agents I closed 10 or more deals with. 7. I think I had 16 that were between 5 and 9. Everybody else was 4 or below.
Yep.
So the change is that we have to cast a wider net. We used to be able to fish with a fishing pole and maybe go after certain agents, these whale agents, or your business might have been able to produce the same level year over year if you kept the same agents. But now I'd argue that you almost need double the amount of realtors that you've probably been used to, because these realtors, top agents, 54, 55, 56, who are struggling to understand social media, which Deborah will get into in a second, they're losing market share to these younger agents. And when they lose market share, we as loan officers lose market share, because maybe Judy's been my #1 agent for 6 years, but I've noticed that her numbers are going down, or they're going down because she's struggling to attract new buyers. And how they shop in today's world, they're not paying attention to it. They're not studying it. They're not plugging into YouTube videos and learning how do millennials shop. Because even though Judy is a D Magazine top agent in this Plano, Dallas area, and she says, oh my gosh, you're looking to buy a house, you have got to contact Denise and her team. They're the best in the business, top 1%, like da 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 da. What does that client do? What does that Gen Z, Gen Y, what do they do? They're gonna say, oh, okay, great. Let me go look at Denise online, because what this generation does is they fact check. So they're gonna go and they're gonna pull up probably your Instagram. If it's that age group, they're probably gonna go to Instagram. And if you're not on Instagram, if you're not showing up with some mortgage stuff, education stuff, I'm not saying, you know, lip singing and dances and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I'm saying, like, yesterday I posted a video on the power of keeping your house and turning it into a rental and buying another versus selling it and buying. I'm educating. I'm showing people what a rapid rescore and how we increase your FICO score and how much money that saves you over a certain period of time. That's the kind of stuff that I put out on social media, because I learned early on, you can either use it as a tool or a toy. And a lot of these agents still view social media as a toy. In fact, some of you guys on this call might still view it as a toy. But if you're having to add more realtors to your roster and attract more, you've got to cast a wider net. So how do you do that? You could double down on your calls every Monday to agents. Instead of calling 40, I'm going to call 80. Cold calling, you could do that. You could Facebook stalk and send DMs. You could bring rate sheets and donuts to the broker offices like we used to do in the old days. You could host events. But no matter what, you've got to be getting out there. And to me, I want to do it in a couple of different ways. I want to diversify those ways because everybody's a little bit different. And I wish it was just one way, because that would sure as heck make our life a lot easier. If it's like, well, what's the best way? And then we all just do that. It doesn't work like that, because this is a human business and humans are different. But I know that being present on social media, and if that agent refers me, and then now this Gen Zer goes and looks me up and they see my stuff, what that's doing is that's creating people to know, like, and trust me before we have the conversation. Even real estate agents can window shop me. And believe it or not, I'm developing trust with them, even though I've never met them. And I get DMs almost every day now that's like, hey, I saw your video about this. I've been following you for a long time. I'd like to send my clients to you. How do I go about doing that? I'm attracting, that's my time for Cindy to tell me, I've learned how to attract. And if you don't have that skill, you're in luck. Deborah Byrd is the best. She taught me everything I know. Sometimes I make her pretend that she's me. We don't tell people that. I'm like, Deborah, you just tell me what to say and how to say it. But here's the thing, guys. If you're not on, it looks like, imagine if you owned a storefront and people go to your store and the lights are off. That open sign, it's off. That's what they're doing when they're looking you up on social. And that's what they're doing when they're looking up your reviews. You don't do social to try to get a bunch of leads. You do social for the social cred. It's as valuable as having a website. And if you're not consistently showing up on it, it looks like you run an inconsistent business. And here's a pro tip. Now, the minute a buyer of ours says interest rate, guess what? Their iPhone, Android, whichever you are, they hear it. So it's even harder in today's world, because you might feel like you get shopped more. You might not be. It's just because of the algorithms and the smartphones listening, and they just heard them say, buy a home. And so if you're not on social, but someone like me is, they're going to be like, huh, well, I don't see Cindy, but all of a sudden I'm getting all these videos from this nerd chick. They're seeing that I'm teaching them something that other people aren't teaching. Now I'm developing know, like, and trust. And no matter what, people will always do business with people they know, like, and trust. So my 2 takeaways for you guys is, 1, it doesn't matter how much you attract or how much business you write if you don't have a solid plan and a follow-up process. You're a hamster on a hamster wheel. I know it's not as sexy, but get your process down. If you need more help, I'd be happy to help you with that. Second, once you've got that and you've got a follow-up system, you need to find your fishing strategy, but no, you're not alone, that we're all having to fish wider. So how are you going to attract more people to you? And there's a lot of different ways, but you're going to probably need more realtors than what you've been used to. So
Hey,
thank
Denise,
you guys.
Denise, really quick, can you speak to your team email really quickly? Because I think that's super important for everybody.
Yes. So when I identified that I wanted to design the Chick-fil-A of the mortgage business. And in order to do that, I felt like I had to be that consistent. And so the language had to be consistent. And I was so worried about all these agents and clients like wanting to do business with me. I mean, I go by the mortgage nerd. So how could I ever transition for people feeling comfortable working with a team and not just me? Well, I created a team email. Again, it doesn't sound super sexy, but the team email looks like this. I've got a bunch of them. Home loans at the mortgage nerd. So anytime an LOA emails out, they're emailing from this home loans at the mortgage nerd. And the email signature looks like this. It's got our team picture. It's got Denise, Donoghue, and the mortgage nerds.
And we can't see that, by the way, Denise.
You can't?
No, we're not sharing. You're not sharing screen.
Come on, nerd. Step it up.
Okay, so you guys can see it now?
Yes, that's
Okay.
perfect.
So here's the team inbox, home loans at the mortgage nerd. Good news is there's only 2 emails. We like to keep this little, but we color code them. And so anybody that responds to an email, anytime there's an outgoing email, it's always coming from home loans at the mortgage nerd. All of my LOAs have their own individual emails, but that's only for internal communication. When we email out, my rule is that it comes from home loans. Why? Because I don't want a realtor or a client ever being like, well, I can't remember who I emailed. So if an LOA wants to go out of town, the client doesn't need to know. If the LOA is sick, any of us can jump in. And so one of our admins manages this inbox and we color code. So to color code, you right click, you click on categories, and I can assign it to Amy R, Amy Frank, Book, Eric, Jordan, Kristen. And that means that you're not only in your individual email, but you're popping into this team email, because that's the one that clients and realtors are emailing. And when we email out, you'll notice that it's got a team email signature. Here's the picture. It says from Denise Donoghue, the mortgage nerd. So it looks like it's from me, but it's from our team. That's why it says and the mortgage nerds. Here's the tricky trick. The tricky trick is all of us have in super light gray our initials. Now there's no client and there's no realtor that even sees this to the eye. But when a client responds, the admin doesn't have to go look up whose file it is and spend all that time. We can see it because of these initials. So it makes it really easy to stay organized and stay consistent, because again, all you need to know is the team email. The trick is categorizing it, and you leave it in there until that person responds to it.
No, and I love this. When I first heard this, because I've gone round and round. I had a team email, but obviously we didn't have it color coded. My big thing was everybody on the team is spending 2 hours a day reading all these emails they don't need to read. So that's why this is so brilliant to me, because to have, now granted, you got to have someone manage the inbox, right? That can push it out to the appropriate people. But it's such a brilliant use of time, and it makes it so clear for realtors, and I just was wowed by that system. I wished I'd had that system when I was leading my mortgage business.
And if I went back to my first year or second year, I would have already had that, because guys, this is the one thing I want to leave you guys with. I had so much fear and anxiety when I started having to make the transition that I didn't want every realtor texting my personal cell, my personal email. I mean, I go by the mortgage nerd. That's a singular thing, and so it's like, how can I make that transition? They're only going to want to work with me. But I learned, just like at Chick-fil-A, I don't care who makes my sandwich, as long as I get it quick and right, and it's good and it's fast. And as soon as I changed my belief, like what Cindy said at the very beginning, sometimes it's really what's just in your mind. As soon as I realized they don't really care if it's me. And in fact, if they texted me on my cell, I got to a point where I would screenshot it and I would send it to my admin. I'd say, hey, can you respond to this from our system? Because I had to retrain people that if you, I'm going to delay my response, I'm going to slow play it. But if you message the team line, well, then it's going to be quicker. And that's all people care.
Absolutely. Denise, you are absolutely amazing and incredible. And keep in mind, you all, we're going to come back to questions at the end. So keep the questions coming. And for those people that want to learn more about you, what's the best way for them to reach out and get contact information? And we're going to be sending a follow-up email as well that you'll all get after this with their contact info.
Well, I will tell you, I've got my Nerd Academy. If you're sitting in, you're like, I want to know more about these plays. I've got a bunch of them. Some of my Nerd Academy people are here. Just go to www.mtgnerdacademy.com, or you're welcome to email me at denise@themortgagenerd.com.
And like I said, we'll put that in the follow-up email as well. So now we are going to transition to the other sister.
I was the second one born too.
The second one born by what, a minute? I think, 12 minutes. Oh, you were
we were delivering tables.
Slow to enter the earth here. So great. Well, listen, Deborah, we're so excited to have you here. Obviously, you've made a big impact in my life, and you become a very close personal friend. So I'm very grateful to have you here. You always have such incredible wisdom. And like Denise and Deborah both, and they just remind me so much of myself, because it's not what you guys do, it's who you are. It's like they live and breathe this business and how to be better and to be, more connected and how to help in a bigger way. So Let me give Deborah, I do want to give you a little more formal introduction. So after graduating college, Deborah began her career teaching middle school science. And I have to stop for a minute because if you get to know Deborah, you will just know without question, she is a teacher at heart, right? What she loved about teaching that age group is that it always started with establishing a trusted relationship in order to maximize their potential. She chose science as it was the only subject in which you had permission to fail. I love that. Learning to fail faster led to new discoveries and super cool experiments. When Deborah transitioned into the mortgage business, she was the exact same way. Being new to originating, she signed up for every online course just to learn the basics. For those who may not know, she's an identical twin who is already in the top 1% of originators in the country. And she had just moved back to her hometown, same company, where she had to really dig deep and learn how to differentiate from her identical twin. I mean, you think we all have problems, you know, being differentiated, try to identify with a twin. That was got to be very, very interesting. So while offering the exact same products in the same area, this took quite some time to figure out. So while Deborah was enjoying originating, what she realized is that each year that passed, she found herself helping other loan officers in her company as they generated a far greater impact to her and not just meeting clients one-on-one. She would help them learn their why and their voice and then provide content for their social media outlets. This is where Deborah's company, Plug and Play Social Media, was born. She now helps mortgage advisors execute a social media strategy that connects and deepens their relationship online. No matter what role or position Deborah has ever held, her purpose has always been about filling minds with truth, filling hearts with love, and living a life of service. Therefore, she seeks clients with a similar passion around the families they serve and aim to deepen their relationships and connection to their social media strategy. Unlike most marketers, Deborah understands the business. She knows the language, the compliance, and most importantly, how to connect as humans. So I have to tell you, I've experienced Deborah's work firsthand. And, you know, to me, I think there's none better because first of all, you came from the mortgage background. So, and that's just tricky in and of itself. And obviously you have done an incredible job branding.
Deborah isn't pinned. They're saying that they can't see Deborah.
Oh, well, Deborah, that is not good.
I could just take my glasses off and pull my hair back and then I'll just pretend to be Deborah. There you go.
There
you guys see Deborah now?
They can see Deborah, and I'm going to remove your spotlight so we can make you big and in person. There you go. Well, Deborah, thanks so much for being with us, and let's let you share some of your magic.
Oh, well, thank you. I keep saying when I grew up, I want to be like you, Cindy. You're like my soul sister. So, you know, a lot of what I do, guys, and just, you know, full transparency, my social story and kind of my journey was a little rocky compared to the nerds. And I used social as a place to just express myself. And I didn't realize it at the time, but we all have a brand, no matter if you recognize it or not. Like you are not an avatar and you have a brand. You make people feel a certain way, whether you do that on social or it's when you go to networking events or it's when you're with your family. And so give yourself permission, one, to be yourself, but also to give yourself that ability to grow and evolve. Because when you look at my social story, it was a rocky journey. So thank you for those of you who have followed and been a fan. I will also say that, and I'll go ahead and share my screen as it's connecting. I don't know if you can really do this alone. Like it shouldn't have been so rocky for me, but I didn't hire a coach quick enough. And this is not, you know, a promotional plug, but I can tell you if you want to get there faster and you want to really learn, what do you value? Like, who are you? I highly recommend you hire Cindy and you write the check because Cindy does have this unique X factor about her where she makes you feel safe, you feel connected, everything's a vault. And you just feel heard. And so when you're in that safe place, you can really start to grow and expand. And that is required in order for your business to grow. So your business only grows to the extent that you do. So ironically, consuming social for social good and choosing who you're following and being a practitioner and creator is almost a level of accountability where it makes you learn something new every day. So then you can share something positive into the world. So if any of you are struggling out there with that dilemma of, I don't want to be on social, social's bad, social's toxic, there's all these vanity metrics, know that that may be your social story and it may be true to you, but it doesn't make it true. Doesn't have to be true. It's no different than when people say that money is the root of all evil. Is it? Or is it just a magnifier of the person? So choose what you want to follow and engage with on social, and choose how you're going to then teach other people, because the person who you were 2 years ago could benefit from a lesson that you chose to share today. And perhaps that could be the mindset that you adopt moving forward. Okay, I'm going to go super fast because I know I have like 10 minutes. So you guys hang with me. If you have questions, again, put them in the chat. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Okay. So the visibility, we're going to talk about elevating your brand, increasing your visibility, and expanding your influence. Why is this not? There we go. So the first thing with your brand is you have to know, who are you and why do you matter? Which are two very difficult questions to answer. Again, why it makes it even more important to hire a coach. But I want you to really think about that. You may have to think about this for a couple of days. But who are you? Like I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm an aunt, I'm a social media nerd, I'm a human psychology, student. I love to learn. I don't like to cook. I am I don't eat a lot of different kinds of foods. I have failed tremendously, which I've accepted and learned to accept so that I could continue to grow. I have a couple different businesses that I'm a part of and run. And so there's lots of things that you can fill in here. Don't just fill in, I'm a loan officer or I'm a branch manager, because you're more than that. So start thinking of yourself of what are those core values or those core pillars of who you are. And I put people on here like Tom Brady, which is probably not the best example anymore, but I still love Tom Brady. I know people are giving him a hard time after this last game that he had, but when he left New England, it didn't matter that he left New England. Like the people that fell in love with the character and the soul of Tom Brady because of what he stood for, they follow and believe in him even when he went to Tampa Bay. And he's more than just a football player. He has a nutrition line. He has a clothing line. He's more than just a football player. And the importance of this example is you can be a brand within the brand, because your company is still a brand that you're under. And you better believe that that's an influencing factor of when people go to, scope you out and basically judge you. They want to know, who do you work for? Who are you? Are you anything like me? Because if you're like me, then I think I could trust you. Okay, so what is a brand versus the power of a brand? I'm going to go through this one pretty quickly, but basically, and I feel like people get confused on branding and marketing, branding and positioning. There's a difference. So a brand means that you have made a promise to people. You have set expectations, and when this is distinct, you've actually earned something. And the power of this is it's the ability of someone willing to pay more for the substitute. So like Hyatt Hotels has a hard time with this if people are just sorting by price. Because if you're just sorting by price, which, that's a lot of the online shopping now, you can sort by reviews or by price, right? So that's naturally how consumers are consuming and what is influencing their decision. But why is it we will choose to spend more to go to a resort like the Ritz-Carlton? Why do we do that? Why would we pay more? And it's usually the experience or the brand that you're willing to pay for. So increasing your visibility. So once you get really clear on your brand, which is where you have to start, like what is your tone? How is it that you want people to feel before, during, and after the process of whenever they interact with you? And it needs to be true and authentic to who you are. Like I'm a little bit more rougher around the edges and a little bit more colorful with my speech compared to the nerd. And I used to try to hide that and kind of minimize that. And truth be told, Denise probably wanted me to hide that a little bit. And then what was crazy is when I really just took the mask off, which was scary, guys. I mean, it was vulnerable moments where I'm like, what if people don't like me? Or what if I turn them off? And I've had people say, oh yeah, people think you're very direct. And I'm like, I am, and I go through those same mental roadblocks of like, wanting approval from others. But the more I put myself out there, ironically, for who I really was and got the feedback, because I still like the feedback. I like to know the impact that I'm making. Everyone likes that little dopamine rush of when you see a like or a comment, but it feels better because it's people actually liking me for the real me and not the fake me that was so exhausting of wearing this perfect mom, perfect wife persona that just wasn't real. So once you've established the brand, the tone, the look and feel, now we've got to make sure that we increase visibility to the right people and the right accounts. So how do we find the right people? Like, what is the goal here, whether you're using social media or any kind of digital marketing? If you look at this circle, it's really this basic. I like to keep things simple. It's the outer circle of people who don't know you. Okay, so those are people that you don't know that you want them to get to know you and hire you. Then you have the inner layer, which is they do know you. So you're working on them to either refer you or to hire you. And then those who have hired you, which is the ones that we often forget about when we're posting on social media. Most loan officers and real estate agents are constantly making content for people who are about to raise their hand for the process, and you completely neglect those who you've already earned their trust and love from, and you're not nurturing, because your social media is really just an extension of your CRM. How are you showing love and nurturing to those people? So this is a worksheet. I would screenshot this if you want. For every client story or app that you get or closing that you have, I want you to fill this out and try to look for some common trends of who is your ideal audience. And then also don't leave it as just the end user of the client, because our real audience, and like a lot of you said on the form, is you want to learn how to go after agents and get more agent business, right? Like Denise just said, we have to cast a wider net. So how do you do that with social media? How could you leverage social so that you are using social instead of allowing it to use you, which is what I see too often. People will consume, and they're consumers on social, they're just not producers. And so the platforms are just taking that data, taking the data, instead of you using it as a tool. So next step, I highly recommend, and if you guys don't have MMI, I was going to make a value, I'm going to wait on this value offer, because if MMI, or a way to pull like your county in the last 6 months of who are the top agents who are actually doing business on the buy side. That's what we want to know. What agents out there do you need to go hunt and target? You've got to create that hit list first. You got to be really clear. Like this is the bullseye. Who is already sending you business that you need to nurture? And then who do you want to go after? Once you have that list, I want you to make your competitive advantage. And I don't care if you think social is just for dances, or you're not going to take all these photos because you don't want to be a content creator. Well, you can implement this strategy, and this strategy right here is going to grow your influence and your visibility. And that is making a commitment. If you look at this chart, and there is a win by noon plug and play social media edition planner, I'll put in the comments, and we can put in the email of where you can buy this. But every day, your daily activities before noon, I want you to make 20 comments on those target accounts. So the accounts that I just mentioned of your hit list, you can put them in a favorites feed. If you guys didn't know this, both on Facebook and Instagram, you can create what's called favorites, so that when you click favorites here, it's only going to show you the people in your favorites feed. So that when you get on social in the morning and you have to guard your time and be very strict with not getting lost in the distractions of social. And I do have some clients that get lost in the creative process and they almost start to do too much, which I know is fun, but we still got to do the work to get the business in. And this is one way that you can do that. So homework assignment number 1 is set up your favorites feed using your hit list. And you can do this both on Facebook and Instagram. And then I want you to do these daily activities. If you do these daily activities, you will grow. You're going to make 20 comments on those accounts. And guys, it makes it really easy when you just click favorites. You're going to do 20 direct messages, which I like to do that on the stories. So you're commenting on people's stories. So you guys could all take a picture right now saying that you're learning incredible information. You can tag all of us. Okay. And then we could comment, and that will create conversation. Where does that conversation go? In the DM. The DMs are where dollars are made. That's where conversion happens. You got to get people to the DMs. And then if you make one story post in the morning, one story post in the afternoon, and one real post a day, this right here is your daily activities for social media to keep it human to human marketing, so that you are not just a post and ghoster. because that's the worst thing you can do is just post and ghost. And I almost think, how dare you, if you complain about not having any likes and comments on your own content when you're not willing to give out 10 times more to other people. But make this your competitive advantage, because most people don't like and comment anymore. Set up your hit list and show them some love. Be their biggest champion. Do we have 1 minute, Cindy?
Yes, go ahead.
Why should you have a larger visibility and influence on social? We're just looking at the NAR report that came out. Look at this top line. In all ages, where do most people start the process? They look online. So you've got to be visible. Like Denise said, the new storefront, like people aren't going to just drive to your office anymore to see if that open sign is turned on. They're immediately going to go to social media and they're going to look and they're going to scroll for a couple feet and they're going to judge you based off 2 things. Warmth. Do I like you? Do you make me feel safe? Can I trust you? And competency. Are you posting things that make you an expert? Or are you just another talking head video that uses the same types of edits and the same types of captions that ChatGPT or Google could answer in one single search? You can't just be a talking head. You've got to have data. You've got to add value. You've got to prove what you're saying, because most people don't believe marketers or what feels like marketing. So put some slides in there that's data driven. Okay, I think we're out of time.
No, you're fine. You've got another few minutes left. One thing I would love to have you speak to, because I hear about it from my own clients constantly, is give some advice, Deborah, around how to create an impactful video, because people get so stuck on video.
So with video, there's really 3 things. It comes down to light, having good natural light in front of you, or light in front, not behind you. Audio is actually really important, guys. The brain will hear the audio first before even the visual. And then the quality, you'd be amazed, the back lens of a camera. I did a study with just using my DSLR camera versus the back lens, not the front lens. And the quality, guys, most people thought that my really expensive camera, the footage was from my DSLR camera, and it's not. So you don't need to overthink the equipment. And what's more important is how you deliver, what you say, sometimes the nonverbals versus what you say. So when you're talking, are you looking into the lens, or are you stuck looking at yourself? Which I'm guilty of this. I will notice I'm usually looking at a screen and not directly at the lens. Do you smile? Does it look like you even like what you do? Or are you frozen like this? Do you use some animation? Because people's attention span is like this. So you've got to have some parts where you're talking a little bit faster, a little bit slower, have music that helps set the tone. All of these things matter when you are presenting on camera. But most importantly, it's got to be quick, like 30 seconds or less. It's dangling the carrot with a call to action to click the link in your bio, or shoot you a message in the DMs to keep the conversation going. That's like the reels and the stories. That's the top of the funnel to get them down to either DM you or clicking your link in your bio so that you can convert them. Does that help?
Well, I love that so much. And, we just did an evaluation on my videos, and we went back and looked to see how they had performed. And what was really interesting to me, Deborah, and it was the reminder that I needed too. This was just yesterday. And it was the videos that I did that are much more professional in nature, where I look all put together. And some of them I'll do with a script, with a teleprompter, particularly if I'm, promoting a new program. But the ones that got the most attention were the ones where they were anything but perfect. And
Yes.
they were me just having a conversation. And I think we do get caught up in that perfect picture thing. And it was really enlightening for me to say, okay, I just need to talk and not have to worry about it being perfect.
Well, and I will say that can sometimes be an age thing too, where, depending on the age group, you may have seen video production with the movie stars you see at Academy Awards. And so we feel like it has to be perfect, versus the millennial or Gen Z loan officer, where I can tell them, like, most of you don't realize your clients could be your marketing department, because they could whip out a video real quick and share their experience and have it edited using TikTok with captions. And then they just tag you. And it's a lot easier for the younger generations. And they don't have those preconceived, like you ask a young person who are some celebrities today, I guarantee you they're naming TikTok people, not famous movie stars anymore. That's just kind of where the shift is.
100%.
So yes, you're exactly right. The more authentic and imperfect you are, it actually is a gift to the other person to allow themselves to be imperfect as well. And that's really what made me fall in love with you, Cindy. And I told you this when we first met, I'm going to stop sharing. I was super intimidated because I knew like, oh my gosh, there's Cindy Ertman. She's a big deal. And you're so beautiful and so polished and poised all the time. And I'm like, there she is, there she is. And then I talked to you and we had a conversation, and the way that you looked at me, and you weren't distracted by all these other people who were waiting in line to talk to you. You weren't on your phone at the same time. You were so present. And then you're also, and I know there's a lot of people, you are so good at following up with, hey, Deborah, how are you doing? And it's not just because like, I'm not a paying client. You truly care about people and their growth and want them to be successful. And that's just, sometimes it's rare because it's not a pure, there's people that say they care, but only if you're paying them for coaching. Cindy cares, guys.
Oh, thank you so much. Look, at the end of the day, the reason that I was the top originator, the reason you're so successful, Denise, I mean, we can build all the systems and the processes, but it is about connection. It took me a lot of years in my mortgage career to go, okay, I'm a great mortgage originator, but at the end of the day, the part of the business that fueled me was the relationships with people. And I just started focusing 100% of my time on just building relationships with people that I really cared about. And that fueled my business more than anything. And when social first got started, I remember when Facebook first came out, I was on the faculty of Loan Toolbox, and I decided to be a guinea pig, and they decided to use me to learn Facebook. And it was really funny and embarrassing at the beginning because I had no idea what I was doing. But the thing is, I realized that over the years, how many real connections I've built there for people all over the country, where you really do start to form a relationship. And there's a few people on the call right now. Alan, you and I met just a few months ago in Florida. And he's like, I've been following you around for 20 years. Like, it felt like he was a friend, but we had never met live. And that's one of the things that you're talking about. I did the same thing. Have your hit list of 20 people, and I used to minorly stalk them on Facebook. And then once I commented and interacted with them for 30 to 45 days, it felt like a warm call to pick up the phone and call them and just say, hey, I've been following you around social, and I don't know, I just like your energy. I like the way you show up. I like the message that you're sharing. Clearly, you're very successful. I'd love to learn a little bit more about you and your business. How about we get together? And most of the time I got a yes. It wasn't that hard. So I love that strategy, and I don't think people use it enough.
Cindy, will you unpin her?
I will unpin her.
We can see your beautiful face and hear how the coach puts all of this together.
And I feel like I need to give Cindy a proper informal introduction. So Cindy Ertman is the CEO and founder of the Defining Difference, a success-based coaching and training company devoted to helping people master the power of intentional choice to create a defining difference in their own life. She has devoted a track record of helping high achievers shift the way they see the world and expand their vision of possibility by teaching them her total success approach to business and life. After being acknowledged as one of the top 100 most influential mortgage executives in America by Mortgage Executive magazine for 5 years in a row, and being named in the top 100 mortgage loan originators in the United States by Mortgage Originator magazine for more than a decade, guys. Cindy has now dedicated her life to empowering the growth of others. Cindy's goal is to help her clients get more out of life by making powerful, intentional choices to propel their income and achieve their peak performance, nurture their health and wellness, build connected referral relationships, and accelerate their success in 7 key areas of their life by removing the blocks that limit their potential.
Well, thank you, my dear friend. I'm not a huge fan of formal introductions.
Yes.
I like just talking friend to friend. Anyway, thanks. It's so great to be with you. You two are so brilliant. I'm really excited. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of replays of this webinar to be able to go back and look at what you've created, Denise, and what you've done, Deborah, to help people really expand their influence. And again, I really believe, I know it's hard when we come off a challenging year financially for so many people, but I could not have built my business or grown to the level of success had I not had a coach, had I not had people supporting my social media presence. We can't be all things to all people. So I really am going to recommend that you think we're going to be talking about, what are you really great at, and try to do everything in our power to keep you more in that genius zone. Well, I'm going to jump in here. It's been a painful year to watch the pain that a lot of people, even very top originators in this country, have gone through. It has not been for the faint of heart. It has really, no one got off unscathed last year for sure. And it was such a reminder of probably my most traumatic year, which was 2007, 8, and 9. So being in this business over 35 years and seeing a lot of different markets, it just was so reminiscent of other times that I had to keep getting up and taking a step forward, because it's tough and you've got to reinvent yourself. And so I remember, every year waking up on January 1st and going, okay, what am I going to do to reinvent myself this year? I always wanted to stand out from the crowd and do something new and different, create a different level of value for my clients. And that's where I really felt I got the traction, is what can I do for you to help you be successful? Not to get anything in return, but that philosophy for me just really helped. I was listening to Hunter Marcourt talk to Dave Savage a couple of days ago, and Hunter's a good friend of mine. We worked together at RPM Mortgage for many years, and I thought it was so interesting. I wrote down a couple of notes that he shared yesterday, but he said, he goes, in 6 months, there's going to be 2 camps, those that got better and those that wish they had. And I think it just really sums it up. I think you have to really make a decision that you want to be better, because at the end of the day, we can go on being mediocre and we can be status quo, but it's really important to be successful in this business. We've all got to commit to get better each and every day. And so much of that is around our own education and our commitment to take it to the next level. This is called incremental success. We don't go from 1 to 10. We go from 1 to 2. We went to 2 to, I look at what both of you have built, and it was incremental success. So I'm going to jump in here and get started. So these are really quickly in a short period of time here. You are going to get this in your follow-up guide. So just so you know, you will have this to refer to, but we're going to talk quickly about your mortgage mindset, because I believe as you go into 2023, I want you to visualize that rear view mirror of 2022, and I want you to let that go. There's no reason to look in the rear view mirror. It is time now to look at the road ahead. We are creating content and we're creating our strategy for a new year. It is time to reinvent our mortgage success. And we've got to let go of those stories, right? We've got to focus on the daily income generating activities that are going to create massive success. The business has picked up. We've got to, I've watched this market accrue last year saying it's just going to explode as soon as rates just even remotely tick down, even a little bit. We have now such another pent-up housing demand market. So just get ready. We want to make sure you're ready this year to take advantage of this market. Discover your greatest strengths. It's an interesting question when I ask even top originators, what are your 3 greatest strengths? Because what happens frequently is they don't know. So I want you to think about your 3 greatest strengths today. And I want you to think about your past clients. They are your gold mine. It is my number one frustration with my coaching clients is 80% of most originators in the marketplace do not actively communicate with their past clients. And you are leaving a fortune on the table and so many people that you could help and serve. My database was my gold year after year after year. And when I turned my business over to my production partner a few years ago, when I launched my coaching and training company, I had 4,500 past clients. And on any given year, I was getting 25 to 30% of my business year after year after year because of my nurture campaigns for my past client database. So I'm going to share a script with you of one of the things that worked really well for our team. And then building up referral partners through quality questions. I'm passionate about this because this particular strategy has worked for me personally and hundreds of people that I've coached. And then I know that Denise and Deborah, you believe this, education is the key to your mortgage success. You absolutely have to educate yourself each and every day as to what's going on in the business and commit to educate every client, every realtor partner. Education is key to you being the expert in your field. So we're going to talk first about your mindset. So just, you got to ask yourself this question. Are you living in fear? Or are you taking daily action to drive results? I can tell you most people last year lived in fear. I was talking to originators 10 hours a day and many times on weekends to get them through the fear and to see life through a different lens. Because I was successful in a lot of difficult markets. You just have to reinvent yourself and get back to basics. And as Denise talked about, you've got to get in front of more people. It really is a relationship game. And people right now need your help. Your realtor partners need your help. More than ever, it's easier to get appointments today. And if you can educate them, it's absolutely gold. So I want you to think about what stories you're telling yourself that just aren't true. There was a lot of stories being told last year. And look, it's the human experience. We all tell ourselves story that put us into fear, that keep us from taking bold steps. People get so fearful of rejection in the mortgage industry. I mean, 25-year veteran loan officers are constantly telling me they're scared to death to pick up the phone to call a realtor, which I got to admit at this point, I don't understand because, the fear isn't real. I mean, it feels real, but once you pick up that phone and you engage in a conversation, it really just dissipates the fear. And the reality is we are in the relationship business. And if you're not willing to reach out to realtor partners and financial planners and to referral sources that can really help you drive your business, you clearly are in the wrong business because now is the time for you to get better. And you know what's funny is that when you start calling like your past clients, it's amazing what happens. I mean, I've had so many clients in the last couple of months said, oh my gosh, I finally started doing what you said. And I started calling and they're so shocked how much their past clients actually want to hear from them. They're super excited to be having that conversation. So I want you to really this is one of my favorite slides because it so depicts our human experience, right? How many carry you around the matches to burn down your own house? All of us do. Each and every day at any moment, we can choose the power of the mind. What are we thinking about? We all have the power to burn down our own house. So these are 5 questions I want you to really think about. Take a picture of the screen. When you have a minute, I would really ask you maybe tomorrow morning, sit with this. What do you really want for your business and your life? Because it's really hard to make decisions about how you want to grow unless you get clarity. What do you really want? If I could help you do 3 more loans a month, what would that mean for your life? What would that mean for your financial freedom? What would that mean to your family? Well, are you willing to do what it takes to take it to the next level? Not everybody is, and that's fine. Not everybody has to be a top producer. Are you living your life to the fullest potential? Or do you go to bed at night going, I should have called those 5 people and I didn't do it? It's a really big deal to actually do what you say you're going to do. What is blocking you from creating the success you desire? We all have blocks that get in the way. And so it's a matter of uncovering those blocks and creating some new habits. It's all about habits so that you can move towards the real success that you desire for your life and your business. And what I always say is, what will it cost you to live in status quo? Because I know without a shadow of a doubt that I got asked a very important question many years ago by a therapist, actually, who said, if you fast forward your life 10 years from now and absolutely nothing has changed, are you happy, satisfied, and fulfilled in every area of your life? And my answer certainly was not yes. So I knew at that moment, it was a life-altering moment for me. I knew in that moment with that question that I didn't have another 10 years to wait, because if we don't make change, we're going to be in exactly that same boat 10 years from now. So I wanted to share these. These are some steps that I use personally to empower my mindset as a mortgage coach and pouring into my clients each and every day. It is imperative that I start my day with my own empowering mindset. I do have practices. If I get off, if my energy's off, I double down on my practices. And it's amazing how quickly it'll get me back on track. I do start my day with a gratitude prayer. Every day. No matter how difficult things get, I've gone through a lot of challenges in the mortgage space for that many years, and personally, as we all do. But gratitude is at the core of my existence. And I do believe that gratitude and fear cannot occupy the same space. And if you get intentional about that, it really does change the game. Exercise. My friends on this call know I cannot stand to exercise like some of you that love it, but I hired a trainer. It's the only way I'll do it, but I know how great I feel. I walk in my neighborhood out in Manhattan Beach, California, at least 3 times a week, and I work out with weights twice. but I have a coach to do it. I don't entrust myself to be accountable to myself, so I have to hire a coach. I do meditate about 15 minutes every morning. I use Insight Timer is my favorite app right now. There's many free apps. If you told me many years ago, a type A personality, that I was going to meditate every day, I would have told you you're crazy. But it's a habit, and I trained myself, and now it's the one thing I look forward to each and every day. Affirmations, they are so great when you're feeling off. Just I am statements. I am powerful and strong. I am healthy and confident, whatever you need to say to yourself. If you are telling yourself affirmations in your brain, it can't be telling you conflicting messages at the same time. So affirmations are really, really fabulous. And mental mastery, what you think about comes about. My coach said to me about a year ago, he goes, notice what you're noticing. And I went on a walk one morning. I'm like, interesting. What am I noticing in my brain? Pay attention to what you're thinking. And if you're thinking negative thoughts, it's time to switch the conversation. And if you're sharing those negative thoughts with your referral partners or the people around you, stop it. It's not helping anyone or solving any problem. I sat a couple mornings ago pondering this, like confidence is really what creates success in mortgage. So how do we develop it? It's easy to say, oh, you've got to be confident. Yes, that comes with experience for sure. But the reality is I realized when I started thinking about if I had to boil it down to one thing that I did, a couple of things, perseverance is one of them too. But number one, and I'm sure you two can relate to this, is resiliency. And I looked up the definition yesterday of resiliency. It's the capacity to withstand or to recover quickly from difficulty. So we needed a little resiliency last year, right? Without question. And we've got to learn to act in spite of the fear. I would not be here today. I would not be leading this training. I wouldn't be on national stages if I had let my fear of public speaking get in the way of me continuing to expand my voice. The more we do what we fear, the fear eventually dissipates. I promise this to be true. I know it personally in my own life. And the other thing is successful people do things that non-successful people are not willing to do. You've got to do the work. There's not a magic pill. Do the things that others are not willing to do and develop your morning success habits. I believe in it with all my might. Determine your non-negotiables for your life and your business. Get clear on your strengths, both personally and your business strengths. Focus on your wins. We got to let go of the defeats and get up and go again, right? We got to focus on the wins because you have many each and every day. And then my big hot button, just do what you say you're going to do. It drives me nuts. And even when I'm coaching someone and they're like, oh, I didn't get to the goal plan, or no, I didn't get to call the realtors. It's like, do what you say you're going to do. Oprah Winfrey always says, do what you intend to do, right? And this is my new favorite quote. I came upon this like last weekend, and I'm really bad at creating my own quote graphics, but I did because I love the quote so much. People do not decide their futures. They decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. I'm telling you, I'm a quote nut, and I write a lot of quotes, but this one spoke to me, and it is filled with so much truth. You have to change your habits if you want to get to the next level of success. I'm going to run through these very quickly because you're going to get this in the guide that we're going to send you right after the training tomorrow. So I want you to think about your 3 core greatest strengths in the context of how they serve your clients and your realtor partners. So Denise, you were talking about communication still being one of the #1 complaints with realtors. So communication was a big one for me because I think I'm a really good communicator, and I was to my realtor partners. And so I thought, this was many years ago, I thought, okay, well, if I'm a great communicator, how am I going to turn that into a value proposition? I see everything as a marketing opportunity. Just probably why I get along with you so well, Deborah. But I see everything as a marketing opportunity. I thought, okay, well, I was trained by many coaches. I was in the core. They say, call every Tuesday. And I thought, okay, we have all these milestones of the loan, right? We had 7 milestones of every loan, and my team would call out. We had a system to communicate those 7 milestones. In addition, we called live every Tuesday to all of our clients that we had loans in process for. That was our system. It was a non-negotiable. I didn't make those calls. My team made those calls, but it was part of a system. So what we did is we put together a marketing piece on, the Ertman Buchanan, we put together for our team our 10-point communication plan, and it was part of our value proposition. We just took what we already did and turned it into a marketing piece. And when I'd get together with the realtor, I'd say, gosh, Mr. Realtor, if we have the opportunity to work with you, one of the things we love sharing is our 10-point milestone communication plan, because no one has to call us to get status. Our communication is best in class. You're going to be getting, these calls, the listing agent and your buyer, and you're going to know where that loan is every step of the way. And we delivered. In fact, we over-delivered on that promise. So maybe you've got the strength, you're a mini Barry Habib, and you've got educated on the financial markets, and that's one of your gifts. Maybe you're a structure king or queen, right? You know how to structure. That was one of my gifts. I was a tax return guru. I taught tax returns to my branch. So think about what you're really great in the context. And if you're newer and you don't really know what you're great at, what are you great in life? What do you love? Maybe you love marketing. Maybe you love social media. Maybe you can teach some of your realtors some of the basics that you do on social. But think about what you're really good at from a core strength perspective. And next, I want you to think about your company's 3 greatest strengths, because we frequently leave that out. And look, if you're not clear on your 3 greatest strengths and your company's 3 greatest strengths, then nobody else is either. So you want to make sure you're clear on those 6 things, and then you can weave those things into any conversation. It's kind of like part of your why statement. And I would just, when I was talking to anyone in my business, I would say, Mr. Borrower, one of the reasons I love being in the mortgage business is my passion is helping people achieve their dream of home ownership. And one of the greatest things, it's like Stephanie and I would talk about our partnership, and, we have 100% close rate. We have never submitted a loan to underwriting that has been declined. And that was a true statement. Mr. Borrower, we do advanced approval on 80% of our clients. You can go up against all cash because it's formal approval. Whatever your company's greatest strengths are, pull that out, go ask somebody within your company, ask one of your leaders, and get clear on some of the special sauce that you have to offer so that you're really clear. This I'm going to go through quickly. This is your past client database. I know, Shelly, you were on this call with Lindsay. The script came about when you and I were on a coaching call, because she was not calling her past clients. And I'm sure if we polled many of you right now, you're not calling your past clients, but I'm going to encourage you to change that this week. So we discussed, this was a very similar script. It's more in script form when you get it in the guide. But this is what I would do when I call my past clients. I didn't just call to say, hey, how are you? Want to check in for your annual mortgage review. I would just say, hey, wanted to check in to see how you're doing with your home and your mortgage. And then this was kind of a list of questions that I would go through and just do it conversationally, right? But you want to make this call count. So just ask them how their family's doing. Ask them how their job is doing. Ask if they've had any major life changes. Major life changes create opportunities, but if you don't ask, they're not going to share that. How long do you think you'll stay in your current home? If you had any idea how many loans I generated from asking just that question, because I remember one client, Jack, saying, well, we thought we'd be here for 5 years, but we got pregnant, we had accident baby, and we probably won't be here longer than another year. Well, Cindy Ertman was pretty persistent. And so one of the things, they were in escrow in their new home 2 weeks later. We created opportunities based on the answers to these questions, and then use it as a time to update the information, right? Their cell phones, their emails, get update information so that your database is up to speed. And then this is the biggie. You want to ask them, look, darn well, they don't need to refinance right now, but maybe they do. So you want to talk to them about the reasons people refinance. Think about, a lot of our clients are taking cash out to improve the property that they're in. A lot of our clients have decided to leverage their wealth and they want to own investment property. Maybe they want to do an Airbnb or purchase a second home. So many second homes were purchased during COVID, I can't even tell you. This just happened to one of my clients last week, debt consolidation. Had she not mentioned that, they would have never disclosed that they had over $100,000 of debt because her husband lost his job during COVID. She asked the question and ended up saving them $1,600 a month on their mortgage payment. But if you don't ask, you've got to reveal, you've got to pull back the kimono and at least set the stage. Maybe they want to diversify their assets, or they need college education funds, or maybe they're going through a divorce. So, and then I love asking the question, always did, of, are you happy with your CPA? Do you have a great financial planner? Do you have your home in a trust? It's such a great opportunity. If they answered no, it's like, I'd love to introduce you to a great resource. Be a resource to your other referral partners. I know you do that, Denise, regularly. And then just the reminder that we're referral based and we'd love to help your family and friends. So next, building referral partners, 10 quality questions to create connection. I wanted to give you a way to reach out. Now, there's some other slides I deleted because I know I have very little time, but this is a marketing questionnaire that I used, and you can use it with your current partners that you already have a relationship with to go a little deeper. You can use it with any new realtor, and you do not need to be a marketing expert. All you need to do is just say, hey, look, I'd love to get together with you for 30 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever you want. But I'd love to get together with you and talk a little bit about your marketing strategy for the next quarter. One of the things I get passionate about is helping my referral partners be successful. So I'd love to talk to you about what you're doing to market your business. And then I used to go to Google and type in best real estate marketing ideas and take that with me. And now I have my own guide for that for my coaching clients. But it's just very simple. You can take the guide, just ask the questions. What are you doing to market your business right now? You know, what is working for you now? What's not working for you? Are you using social media? Are you using video? Just ask them questions. Are they using a CRM? Many realtors do not. Talked about the benefit of using a database management system. I have lots of stories I could tell realtors about why they should use the CRM when their clients didn't go back to them. Where are most of their leads generated from? Do they have a geographical area that they concentrate in? You know, are they asking for referrals and testimonials from their own clients? And just ask them what their biggest challenge is right now. They have a lot of them. Open up that conversation. I promise you, every single time, and I still lead some of these meetings today. I still stay in touch with our realtor partners. And every single time I lead this meeting, they say, when are we going to do that again? They love it because it's talking about them. And lastly, education. The key to your mortgage success is education. Denise, I know you are masterful at this, but you've got to be educating yourself. Lead mastermind groups for your referral partners. Lead lunch and learns. Don't be afraid to take the leap. You know, I lead a powerful mortgage mastermind group for my coaching clients, and it's amazing. These are the things they say. The power of the collective mind when you have a mastermind group. You know, iron sharpens iron, greater collaboration. Call a group of your realtor partners together. You can do it on Zoom. You can do it live, meet monthly. I know Jeremy Forcier does this religiously. And I'm not going to go through all these, but there's 12 ideas of topics. I have like 30 on my guide, but this will give you some ideas because people always say, I don't know what to train. You don't even have to bring the trainer. You can bring in other people to train. These are just some of the things that we did for our mastermind groups and for our lunch and learns, and we did them monthly. So this is one of my mortgage mastermind elite groups, and this is how we are wired. I know you two are too. You can get everything you want in life if you help other people get what they want to. And I'm a big believer that if we can help you be successful, you're going to trickle down and help more people be successful. So if anyone would like any more information on coaching, you can visit the website at cindiertman.com. I know Dana will put a link in the chat too if you'd like to schedule a strategy call. I'm not going to go into depth on the programs now, but we'd love to talk to you. And we've got 3 different programs to hit you at any stage of your career. But I think those of you that know me know without question, my passion is helping mortgage originators succeed. It's been a rough season. It's time to invest in yourself and take it to the next level, because it's amazing how many people we can serve, how many people we can change, and how many lives we can make a difference in. So anyway, thank you all. You guys are amazing. So Denise, I want to say thank you so much for sharing all of your amazing gifts. Deborah, you are incredible and so grateful to have you two in my life. And I want to thank all of you for joining. We are going to open this up for Q&A, and we are going to stay on the call beyond our scheduled time for those of you that have questions, because we want to make sure that you are getting your questions answered, because there was a lot of content here today. And just reminder, we'll be sending this out to all of you with a guide, so you'll have a lot of this in real time that you can refer to help you take it to the next level.
Well, we did have a lot of people say they wanted a live workshop. So everybody on this call, let us know, what topics do you want us to dig deeper in? Because maybe we put together something that, you know, we take an hour or 2 a month and we just go deeper. We don't know, but, you know, let us know in the chat and just If anybody's got any questions so far. Cindy, I did want to say, when she's talking about
Unpin yourself, Cindy. Your team's telling you to
Oh,
unpin yourself.
sorry.
Sorry.
unpin it.
Oh, I
Go
was
ahead.
even pinned. There we
Everybody, what she's talking about is the number one thing that I get from loan officers is like, and some of you guys mentioned it in the chat, I'm newer to the business. I don't know how to build up a realtor roster. And that slide that she showed of the topics and the things that you can bring either to your past clients, those are the same things that you can bring to title companies and co-host events with them. They have a database of agents. You might not have it, but you have an appraiser that can speak to how an appraiser assesses value, how a CPA looks at self-employed income, how one of my best ones was how a real estate attorney can help you in the state of Texas have your house skip probate for $50, transfer on death deed. So don't feel like, I've got some newer loan officers in my office and they're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to say. I don't know how to present. I'm so nervous. Don't be on your first few, don't feel like you have to be the one. And then the other thing is her follow-up process that she's speaking of, that is something that I have been talking about more than ever, Cindy. I'm so glad that when you and I spoke, I think it was back in September, her coaching program, guys, like the real deal. I've been a part of a ton of coaching programs. You've got to check it out. But I love how you phrased your follow-up system. It's like in a market like we've been in, what does your lender do for your clients before they go under contract, during contract, and then after closing? And it's so powerful because it's like mortgage rates have been artificially high. So who's going to contact them when rates come down? Is it going to be Quicken Loans? Or can you rest assured, And so honestly, Cindy, when we spoke, I think it was September or August, now in my CRM, I've programmed like, hey, good news, we funded on your loan, but it doesn't stop here because mortgage rates are going to come down and you're going to get robocalls to death and spam mail to death. So I'm already planting those seeds. But when you hire the mortgage nerds, we're going to help you manage that debt even after closing. And here's what that looks like. And y'all, if you guys aren't doing that now, like, holy smokes, that's like, you'll see it on my social media. You'll see it in my emails to realtors. It's like, we're a lender that helps you before, during, and after. So use that. Let's check out some of these comments. I am a 20-year veteran who does 20+ year veteran referral partners.
Cindy, did you guys want me to monitor that? Is that more helpful?
Well, that would be fantastic.
Okay,
Take it away,
great.
Dana.
Okay, we got a few starting so early. So Kelly Loveland had a question. What software or app do you use when creating your videos for social media?
So if you're asking me, then I use Adobe. So it's a little bit more complex to learn. I wouldn't recommend starting there. If you record in app, so if you go to Instagram or TikTok and you can use their in-app features, which to me is the easiest. But the other one that I would say I usually recommend is CapCut, which is on the mobile and on the desktop. You can do little transitions where it does it all for you. And it's pretty simple to use. They even have templates. So those would be my go-to recommendations for beginners.
Awesome.
Or leverage it out and we can do it for you.
Yeah, that's a better idea. Call Deborah. They'll do it for you.
$50 a video. We edit your videos.
Thanks, Deborah. Katrinka is asking, how many are on your team, Denise?
I'm a loan officer. I've got 4 LOAs, 2 admins that help answer the phone. They do the order outs like appraisal, title, and 2 processors.
Fantastic.
I'm lean.
Awesome.
Lean and mean.
Ashley Arnold, how do you know the balance of showing your personal life and your business knowledge?
Well, so, oh, okay.
I don't share a whole lot of my personal. You won't see a whole lot about, so I guess I'll give you the answer, then Deborah, you get. There are select things that I will not share. So I don't share a whole lot with me and my husband. We made a boundary thing that like, we don't want our life to ever turn into, look what we're doing, it's for the gram. There's a level of that can creep in. My son is probably the most entertaining because he's 5 and he dresses in Avenger outfits. That's about as fun as I get. But otherwise, I will say there are 3 or 4 things I post every day. There are 3 or 4 things that are business-ish, but it's educational. And I try to do every other personal. And the personal is like, here's a picture of my sink, and here's our master bathroom. There's one sink, here's another sink. One has toothpaste in the bowl and one doesn't. Which do you think is mine?
The toothpaste.
The toothpaste, but it's relatable, you know, like sometimes the most boring things that we do, making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, is it with crunchy? Are you team crunchy or team creamy? That's what makes you relatable, but there are some boundaries. So it's okay to have boundaries in some of your personal stuff, but Deborah, what's your thoughts?
Well, it depends on your motive and your purpose of what is it, a personal account? Is it a business account? And what is your goals for the account? So for some, like Denise, who has a brand, when people refer to her and they hear the mortgage nerd or Denise Donoghue, they're immediately going to search that. And she's claiming that narrative. She's reframing whatever possible preconceived narrative they may have of a mortgage banker when they go and go on her page. So she's not using social to disrupt news feeds or to be suggested content on explore pages, because her business is built off referrals. So that's she's engaging with people on there, but she's not looking to disrupt the feed. She also never measures her likes and comments, which I find very interesting. So if you are someone who is trying to get on the suggested feeds of the explore algorithm, which there's 4 algorithms just to social media for Instagram and Facebook, then you've got to be more aware of what you're posting on the feed, because the system is reading every hook, every caption, every word. If it's a video, it's listening. And your content feed needs to be super clear of who your target audience is for it to then be shown as suggested feed. So for that reason, if you're looking to get more on the new followers, people who aren't already following you, then you're going to want to be, you want a strategy for that. And I would post your more human-centric marketing pieces that make you human to your story post, which your story posts are at the very top where it's highlighted, and they only last for 24 hours. Unless you save that as a highlight. But that's where you should be doing about 3 or 4 story posts a day. That can just be the day in the life, and doesn't always have to be you. It could be a daily affirmation quote. It could be a picture of your morning coffee, and it's like, what color is your coffee in the morning? And you have a little engagement sticker, and it creates engagement. You have to remember, people are on social to be social. They don't want to be sold to, and they don't want to be marketed to.
So we've got some questions here too. So let me ask this, because I have my own opinions on this, just being on social for so many years, but I do share my personal life on my social account. I have also created a lot of relationships, I believe, because of that, with people that have similar interests, although my kids don't even want me taking pictures of them anymore because they do not want to be on my social feed. So I have kind of stepped back from that a little bit. But in terms of business versus personal pages, let's say on Facebook, because I know personally my business page gets nothing. My personal page is where all my engagement is, and Instagram. What is your feeling about business pages?
I say you have to have both, and you have to have realistic expectations. It's no different than Elon Musk and Tesla. Elon Musk is always going to get more engagement because it's a human versus the brand. But you may not need both. For example, like Denise, she has 1. I have 2 because I have a business and I have a personal brand. My personal Instagram account. So if you follow Deborah A. Byrd, it is a creator. It's a professional account. It's not a personal account. It's still a business professional account as a creator. And I actually get paid to do reels, and I have people who subscribe and they pay to follow me on that account. But that is a collection of like Hot Mess Express. There's no strategy to what I post. It's what I feel like in the moment. And it's usually personal development. It's a funny meme. It's everything of who I am and what I am. And it's kind of like that, like it or not, you can unsubscribe, you can restrict, you can keep scrolling to a different channel. But do I want that on my plug and play account that I may want to sell one day? No. I mean, I'm trying to be very focused on plug and play, where I'm not a social media company for all, and not even for all loan officers. It is the true loan officers who care to give good advice to people who need it, who also value social media. So my pool of people is really small. That's why I don't need 100,000 views on a post. And I may get 100,000 on my Deborah A. Byrd, because I post things that are broader. And so your pool of people, if you look at the ratio, like 100,000 views on a personal development post could mean the same as 30 views on my little social media post for mortgage advisors when you look at the ratio of the pool of people of interest. Does that answer?
Great. What about any of it, Dana?
Yep. Deborah, they're asking for the template from Win by Noon that you mentioned.
Yes, so that is, I don't sell this planner, but if you want the plug and play SM edition for those daily habits of how to track your social media, just email Adam. He's going to kill me, but just email Adam at winbynoon.com, because it's not anywhere online that you can purchase. But if you email him, he'll let you order one so that you can start tracking and measuring those daily activities. But set a timer and don't let it distract you.
Thanks, Deborah. Annabelle is asking, it's Justin is asking, how do you convert best in DMs?
Well, first responding timely would be great, because I can't tell you how many accounts I manage and I go to their DMs and I'm like, for the love of God, which let me tell you, my scheduling tool that we have, you can pull in all your social media platforms on the tool and it'll show you your inboxes for all. So if you didn't know that we have a scheduling tool, this is a way to one-time your posting, so that one post that you just drag and drop goes to all platforms at the right time. But it also has a way for you to engage with comments and respond. So again, it's a great way to be intentional with your time, and an admin can even help with this. But just be a good listener, learn to ask better questions. We did an interview on Friday with Phil M. Jones, who wrote the book Exactly What to Say. I highly recommend you guys watch that and listen to the art of word choice and how you phrase questions, because the key is the one who's asking the questions to get to the root of what they want and then provide what they want. But don't just go in, like, don't make it like a Tinder date and you guys are immediately trying to meet somewhere. Like, you've got to engage in the conversation.
Did you just say Tinder date?
Yeah. Denise loves analogies. Here's the mom that's going to come out, guys.
Tinder
Mom?
date. Don't treat it like a Tinder date. Okay. Okay,
Well,
Deb.
too many, just go like straight to the here's
No,
my
it's a great
application link.
analogy. It's just, that's pure Deb fashion.
I'll put the scheduling tool link in the chat, because it looks like some of you are asking for what that tool is. And I also gave a little treat in the chat. I'm sure, Dana, you'll send it out, but every week I send an email out to my clients with scripts and their battle plan for the following week. So I'm going to gift that to you all. Let's make that, I will gift it to you all if we get Google reviews.
Yeah.
What do you think? Or you start following us on social, something, we got to ask for something, right? Reviews, start following us, whatever.
Hey, I will just say the scheduling system is so game changer. Like, I schedule my stuff out. If I have one-off stuff that plug and play isn't doing for me, like the Super Bowl thing. I'm sorry, not Super Bowl, the Cowboy 49er. So sad. Let's not bring that up. But I made a post and I just got a wild hair to make a graphic on a Saturday night, and like, you can copy and paste and put it to each thing, or you can just log in to the system that she has. And it's really cool because you can look at any time what's trending, what is the best time to post on each platform, what hashtags to use. I make a calendar myself every month that's like, okay, if Valentine's is next month, Super Bowl is next month, President's Day, I think, is next month. So I've already done like my photo shoot. Cindy and I have talked about this before, of all of that stuff, so that it's ready to go and scheduled. And so I'm typically always 1 month ahead. But the tool that's probably, I mean, yes, Deb, I love that you guys give me the graphics, but that saves so much time and energy. It's just like, you can just.
Absolutely. What was the name of the book again, Deborah?
Exactly What to Say. And they even have a real estate edition that Chris
Awesome.
Smith.
Yeah, I
is
just
really
bought it.
good.
I listened to that interview last night. I bought it last night. Thanks for your recommendation.
And you know how that started, guys? I just sent the guy a DM, and I highly recommend the power of leveraging social to DM people request of like, hey, every Wednesday I host a podcast or I host a webinar, which you guys can all do. Like, Dave Savage is my go-to example of this, where he's the king of the many to many strategy, where he makes the other person the hero. It's never him that has to share all the IP or have all the knowledge.
Right.
He just, and people will say, yes. So I DM'd him. Hey, heard you speak on stage at Tom Ferry. He doesn't know me. Would love to have you on a mortgage coach call. He said yes. Same with Mike Simonson,
amazing.
who runs Altos Research. That was another great interview. And all I did was DM him. And they're like, oh yeah, here's my PR person. I'm like, oh, you're a PR person. But I just emailed and I got the appointment. So the power of a DM is powerful because people get tired of text and emails, and hit them up in the DMs, guys.
That's awesome. Other questions, Dana?
Yes, Josh Brown is asking Denise, what is the main topic you have found a lot of success with agents when you speak? Are you going after listing agents with your closings, or are you not calling and using your processes to have them reach out to you?
The Denise today, because I have an established reputation and a brand, I'll be honest, it's a lot easier. My CRM, I crafted, to a listing agent, and it'll say, the loan's funded. I'd love to hear more about what you think of our services and how we can partner up. And then I have a drip on them. We send them something in the mail. So we have a whole follow-up process for listing agents that we're courting. My admin gets an email that says, add these people to my realtor group in my CRM, add them to my social media, which is just a digital database. But I don't today actively call agents to want to work with them, because I've built something to attract people to me.
Right.
Before, when no one even knew my name or how to pronounce it, I was calling. Majority of what I did was host events. And this is every Friday I send an email out. This is something that I've done since 2012. Any agent I came in contact with, whether it's an event or open house crashing or a listing agent, they would go into my CRM with a tag of realtor. And every single Friday I send out an email. It's not a apple pie recipe email. It is something of value. So they're seeing value and preach value on social media, and they're seeing it in their email, whether they asked for it or not, like how to write a underwriting repair amendment that's underwriting friendly, or here's a calculator on how to calculate your own 2-1 buy down, so you know how much to ask for in seller concessions. It's always relevant. It's always timely. So my brand is showing them without me having to really get in front of them as much, that working with me is going to raise your business level. But that doesn't work if your manufacturing process sucks. Like if you don't close loans on time, it's not going to work. But I know my manufacturing process is great. We can close a loan in 12 days because we're so quick. But so that's the answer today versus, when no one knew me.
Thanks, Denise. How did you pick your brand? Laura Lamb wants to know.
Good question.
So I really am a nerd. You heard in my bio a little bit. Part of what fuels the finance behind me is Deborah and I growing up. We were raised by our dad. He was a single guy, and he only had as much financial knowledge in his life that his parents and friends and family had given to him. He lived in the house for 26 years. We came home when we were seniors in high school, and our house had gotten foreclosed on. And at that moment in time, I felt the most angry, stress, anxiety. We had nowhere to go. My dad's credit was horrible because he was late on the mortgage. We couldn't even get an apartment. My sister and I Googled cheapest apartment in Louisville, Texas. And let me just tell you, that's where we lived throughout the next 2.5 years. And when you have felt that kind of shame and scared and angry and all at once, it's the burning fuel behind, I never want to be in that position ever again. And so I would like to say that it was my college education, but I started an eBay business selling Dallas Mavericks jerseys, which paid for my way to go to school. And that's when the Mavericks and the Stars were really good, and internet, you can buy it just today on Amazon. But I started an eBay business, and that's how I paid my way through school. And when I would meet with clients, I would tell them, okay, you can't remember my name, but just call me the nerd, because my business has always been very finance focused because of my upbringing. I feel like as a loan officer, we see people really vulnerable and we can change
Right.
lives. But my CEO at the time, and I love him today, I give him crap all the time, but my CEO was like, don't you ever call yourself that in front of a client again. And I was like, holy cow, why? And this is someone I had such respect for. He was rich. He drank out of crystal glassware. You know, he traveled to Europe all the time. He's way smarter than I am. He's like, because when you do that, you put yourself here and the client here. And in sales, the entire journey of the sales transaction, we're trying to prove to the client we're here. So by you doing that, you're starting off even lower. And that was the first time I had a fork in the road and to ask myself, do I listen to this really smart rich guy or do I go with my gut? And I went with my gut. And so today I talk trash to him all the time. He'll see
Love it.
yes, getting a mortgage is scary and it's vulnerable and there's rejection. And so you know what? I don't want to be here. I don't want you to be scared. I don't want people to feel like how they feel when they talk to a financial advisor. Like they look so fancy and intimidating. I just want to be real. Like, come to me. I don't care if your credit score sucks. Let's make a difference in the world. You know, I can make
I
a
love
dollar. I can make as many dollars as we want, but I just want to feel good making them.
I love it, love it, love it. Just another couple of minutes that we're going to sign off. Got one more question, Dana?
Yep. Marita, how do you recommend starting to merge your brand, i.e. the Mortgage Nerd, into your social media if you haven't had that previously?
You just do it. Because if you're sharing on social by educating and not selling, you just do it. Because when you educate people about credit, about finance, about what the heck a 2-1 buy down is, go to my Instagram page and look at my videos. You're just educating. There's no reason to have to be strategic about when and how to educate. People love to be informed. So don't overthink that one. Just jump in.
Anything to add to that, Deborah?
Well, I was just going to say that's why having a coach is so important, because at a time when it's never been easier to have a personal brand where you don't have to have perfect editing, you can go live, which requires no editing. What's the scariest part is that very thing, is a personal brand, being you. And so if you don't like you, and there's skeletons in your closet and there's things you haven't forgiven yourself for, and you don't really know what drives you, or maybe you're allowing your manager's goals to be projected onto you when you don't really know what you're chasing. I mean, I can't tell you, learn from my experience of doing it the hard way and bleeding on some people, unfortunately. Like, it wasn't always, I mean, Denise and I have had our own battles and it just wasn't always glamorous. I'm thankful for all of those hardships because I've learned so much about me, which learning about me allows me to learn about others. But I wish I would have hired someone like Cindy much sooner. And when I say someone like Cindy, I mean someone who, like, I don't know if y'all heard that in the bio, like, she's been in the trenches, guys. Like, I've seen her do hot seats. There's not anything you can't ask Cindy, where she's worn every hat in the business, which there's a lot of coaches out there that just pass you on to another coach who doesn't, know what it's like to be a practitioner in this space. She does, from every level. So if you really want growth and you really want to be the best version of you for your business while knowing what it is that really drives you, then write the check, book a discovery call with Cindy, and that will allow you to get on social much quicker. Because the real reason why I think people don't show up, it's not that you don't know what to say. It's not that you don't like the way you look. It's the approval of others. And we're so dependent on that until you break free from that, you're not going to show up as your most. Guys, I did a live yesterday where I just did a facial. Thank God for
I loved it, Deborah. It was awesome. I was so proud of you.
But you, Cindy, because I needed, the old me was obsessed with those Snapchat filters where everything looked perfect. And I'm like, the fact that I'm on here with no makeup and just talking has really shown the growth that I've gone through, because I used to be a great mask wearer. So write the check, guys.
My favorite saying, and this is a Cindyism, is like, we're going to be judged anyway. So why not be judged for who you really are? I mean, really, at the end of the day, I love to cook. So I post food like on the weekends because that's what I'm really doing. You know, I love walking at the beach. I mean, I love my son's dog that I get to babysit. You know, I mean, it's my life. It's my day-to-day life. And I guess too, I try to lead my life without having anything to hide. So it makes it easier. But the reality is, you know, not everybody's going to love me. And I'm actually fine with that at this point in my career. Like, I want the right people to be attracted to me because I want to work with amazing people. And fortunately, I don't know, the universe has been very good to me. And I've attracted some really incredible people that I get to serve, as I know the two of you do. And I am so grateful that you took this kind of time to pour into the mortgage community. I know it has meant so much to so many nationally. You guys are amazing for sharing your gifts. I did nudge them, you guys, all last night and sent them a little ping and said, I think we should do a live event in Dallas. So, you know, we'll keep that conversation going because I think that could be really fun to do. But I just want to say thank you to all of you. We will look at the chat, obviously, that all of you as well. I will print it. So if there's other of you that we can get back to with answers to your questions, we will try to facilitate that as well. Look for the follow-up call along with the replay of this call, along with our guide that we're going to be sending out, because that'll be sent out to you within 48 hours. And we just really appreciate you. We wish you a phenomenal 2023. And please reach out to Denise, to Deborah, to myself, if we can help you in this season. We really want you to have an amazing year ahead. Thank you all. Appreciate you all. Thanks to my team for pulling this all together as well. You guys are amazing.
Rock stars.
Thanks, you guys. Bye.
Bye.